Now, in this video, I want to talk about something called relative truth. In this month of September, in the Soul Purpose Skool book that we have, we're focusing on this topic called belief. And it's a fascinating topic that I can talk about forever. And in the process of speaking about belief, we really need to understand the idea of truth. So, what if belief, the definition of belief is what is true for you? And just to give you a little context, right? I anything and everything that I speak to the world, uh, I come from this understanding that we're a spiritual being and living in the physical body and having this physical experience, right? So not the other way around. Many people live as if they're a physical being and wants to have spiritual experience. And let me tell you why I want to anchor this idea. So in this physical realm, which we operate from the, relying on the language of the five senses, what you can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. Yeah. We live in this what we call contextual field and the relative realm. So everything is relative, right? High is relative higher in relation to lower. Big is big in relation to small. Yeah. So something else needs to exist in order for something to be something. Yeah. That's an interesting topic. Now, the reason that I want to mention about that is because there's an absolute realm, which is the spiritual realm, right? There's no differentiation or distinction in the spiritual realm. So everything just is. Yeah. Now, when we bring that idea of truth into this, day-to-day activity, there are things that we can say absolute truth and relative truth, right? Now, absolute truth is that gravity exists, right? You cannot say that, oh, that's not my truth, right? Or the absolute another truth is the sky exists, sun exists. You cannot say that they don't exist unless you say so, right? Now, a lot of the relative truth that I'm talking about and the main topic of this conversation is relative truth are psychological, right? So what are the example of relative truth? So do you feel that you're a confident person, right? Do you feel that you're a calm person, right? Those are something that you naturally feel or don't feel depending on how you ending up seeing yourself in this world, right? Then if you have that identity, because everything that we perceive in this physical world depends on your identity that you're subconsciously claiming, yeah, if you're somebody who is calm, life is not busy. But if you're feeling overwhelmed all the time and you are entertaining or letting that emotion to be entertained inside of you, life for you is an overwhelming place. Life for you might be a chaotic place. Yeah, I usually like to give an example. So, for Dalai Lama or people like Eckhart Tolle or Buddha, right? Life probably is not a chaotic or a busy or overwhelming place. But that's because they don't operate in that frequency or in that identity. Therefore, they don't perceive, they don't even have the lens because all the lens that we see through the world depends on our identity, what we believe to be true, which is the relative truth, right? What we believe to be true about life, about ourselves, who we are in this world, what feels natural to be a part of. And what I mean by that is, do you feel natural to be a part of the identity that you are not confident and insecure, right? Or do you feel natural to be a part of this idea that you are a very calming person? So all those identity is nested in the subconscious feeling of how and who we feel ourselves to be. And the interesting thing is that this relative truth is operating at the subconscious level for every single person and is showing up as a behavior, it's showing up as a way of, um, you know, living in this physical world. But also, what's interesting is that because there is a universal law of cause and effect, right? The molecule is vibrating at the high speed, and depending on the frequency, the level of vibration that you're operating at, you actually attract the consequence, circumstance, and situation in life. So the outer life, the world of senses, is a mirror effect of our internal energetics. Yeah. And the energetics, the main part of that energetics is what's true for us, what feels true for us. Yeah. And then what we want to begin practicing is, if something is not true, you feel in a certain way, you feel heavy, you feel uneasy. But if something is true for us, it's part of us and it feels lighter and it feels so natural, and you don't need to even think about it, right? Like a breathing, right? Unless you had an asthma like I used to, breathing is not something that you even think about moment to moment, but it naturally happens, right? So our identity and a psychology and who we portray ourselves to be in this world, we want to be in that natural state. And the more you natural feel about something, the easier we invite. Let me give you an example. Let's say if you are working at, let's say if you have never owned your own business, but then you have an opportunity to open a restaurant, right? So being a restaurant owner, if you are not familiar with, a lot of things are unnatural, right? A lot of things are natural, and then you are not, clear with the process. So you struggle, and the path of being a restaurant owner is difficult. But let's say, you have done it for 10 years and you own 5 different restaurants. Now you own that identity, and it becomes easy because it has become a part of your breath that you take, right? I can tell you, at the beginning when I started to dance at the age of 16, 17, it was a lot of practice that I needed to do, right? And to really let that be the movement and the identity and, the way I stand, the way I, express myself, it was awkward until that began becoming a part of me where, eventually I didn't need to think of where to go to, but my body knew how to move. Yeah. So a lot of the identity stuff and what's true for us, what we believe to be true in our life, is like, exercising the body and learning the movements. So the body becomes familiar and accustomed to, and ultimately, and at the end, it becomes a part of us that you don't feel like it's separate from us, but it becomes a part of our lifestyle. So the question that I want to, present is, what is the belief that you're operating from that might be currently preventing you from inviting the new consequence? Because so many people are focusing on the outer world, the world of senses, because that's not in their liking. And many people know that the outer world is an effect of the inner cause. And the inner cause is your internal truth that is relative, means that you can actually change it by exercising the energetics, exercising the feeling about it. And the more we exercise our imagination and how we feel about it inside of us, along with changing that, outside situation to staying the energy of, for instance, being in a certain group of people, to be surrounded by the like-minded next level, next frequency people, then it becomes natural for you, right? So what is one belief that you need to change in order to begin creating the life in the outside? And what is the truth that you might be holding on to subconsciously that you need to look into, to exercise, to shift? And the moment you realize that you're a spiritual being and you're not the mind, you will quickly realize how easy it is to change your belief, because belief is just an information. It is not who you are, and it's just a feeling that you have accustomed to entertain inside of you. And when you're able to change that, inside changes and the outside change, and you begin creating the life that you're here to live by changing that inner truth inside of you. So let me know if you have any question, anything that's not unclear that you need clarification, and I'll see you in the next video.